We are live.
Hey,
Welcome to Unknown Hosts, where three guys you don't know talk about video games. Maybe someday you'll get to know us. My name is Kniff, and everybody else is everybody
I'm
else.
Draper.
I'm Ross.
And yeah, today we're just going to be chit-chatting about a couple articles and some things. In the meantime, let's get started. What have you guys been up to this last week? What have you been watching? Any shows, any games? Been playing anything cool?
I've just been playing a lot of Arkham Knight. I'm like kind of a crazy completionist with all this stuff, so I have to do everything I possibly can really before
Yeah.
I just finish the game.
Right.
So it's really long if you like just try to tackle everything, and not everything is like on the map, so you have to just like
Okay.
fly around randomly.
Yeah, I noticed that.
find stuff.
I noticed that really early on in the game, like you have to rely on like the audio. Like on some of
Yeah.
the side missions, it's a helicopter will say we spotted somebody over here on the rooftop, and you gotta like figure out where that's at because it's not marked.
Right.
I
And
noticed
there's
that.
the serial killer who like he has opera music playing anytime he does it, so you have to
Yeah.
listen like to the actual environment for opera music and hope that you can track him.
Yeah, and that's
It
good
can be-
for the immersion
yeah.
because Assassin's Creed games and other games like that, I'd always just set a waypoint to the mission, set a waypoint to them, and you go. And some games even let you fast travel, and it's just like
Yeah.
cuts out a lot of that immersion. But I think that's
Yeah.
pretty nice that they kept it like that, and you have to like rely on your kind of
Yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag. Like I
senses.
really like that. Yeah, you have to rely on that stuff, but other times it's just like, man, this game's pretty big, and I don't want to
Yeah.
just like fly over everything, hoping
Trying to-
I run into
yeah.
what I want to.
Very
and-
true.
but-
So, are you still mustering through it on the PC?
No,
No.
I got it on PS4, and that's
Okay.
what.
Womp womp.
Yeah,
Much better that way.
Okay.
We'll be talking about that later.
Yeah, yeah. What about you, Draper?
I've been playing some Left 4 Dead 2 because I want to try to get into more social PC gaming. Because I remember what you said last week, Niff. It's kind of a kind of a solo activity. So I've been trying to push more co-op play.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I'm watching, New Girl season 2.
Oh,
New Girl?
That's a good
Wow.
show. Really good
Season.
season.
It is a good. Wow, season 2. That was a while ago, right? What season are they on now?
They finished 4.
They finished
Yeah.
4. Okay.
So I started on season 3,
Mm-hmm.
and then I watched season 3 and 4, and then I'm watching
Oh,
the
okay.
backlog.
Gotcha. It was funny. The one thing that like stood out to me was the cast. Like, the very beginning casting. They had that one guy that was like into this basketball scene. Then all of a sudden he wasn't there, and then they brought him back, and they just kind of like subtly didn't really
Yeah.
tell you if it was supposed to be the same character or not. But he
Well-
was recasted. Like he just kind of slid in.
I think they actually in season 1 they explain why
Did they?
switch him out, don't they?
I
Or
don't know.
Draper,
Maybe
you've seen
maybe it
more
went over my
recently.
head. I just didn't
Yeah.
catch.
I
It's
think
just
it's
like
like
all of a
really
sudden he
quick.
wasn't. He was in the pilot, and then all of a sudden he was gone, and then he like came back as a different guy. Like
They
Yeah.
don't really mention much.
No,
I
they
mean, they mention Coach every once in a while,
Yeah.
but
Right.
it's like they don't really explain anything.
So they are
as far as
two
I
different characters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for clearing that
Probably.
up. Thanks. Okay, Reba says they do explain it. I'll have to go back and catch that explanation because I missed it.
Oh,
But
I'll have to
I
check
think
it
I
out.
trailed off in the middle of season 3. I'm not caught up, but yeah, it's a funny show, and I like what's his name, the main funny guy, the one of the white, not Schmidt, the other guy.
Yeah.
It's more
Jake
like-
Johnson as
Yeah. Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff lately too. He's kind of blowing up. I think New Girl kind of gave him his springboard a little
Oh,
bit.
definitely. Like
Yeah.
he ended up standing out from a role that as written initially didn't seem like
Right.
that much. So
Yeah, I
So,
think
yeah.
he's hilarious. So
have you guys seen him in Jurassic World? He's
Yeah.
really
no,
funny.
I haven't seen Jurassic World
he's
yet.
one of the better parts of that movie.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Nice. We actually just finished Orange Is the New Black,
Nice.
season 3.
Nice.
This whole season, I've just been like, kind of like, really? Every episode's like, really, really?
I've heard a lot of people say that. I liked the season. Like I didn't have much of a like central plot.
Right,
Like,
and the
last dude kind of had a center to him.
Right.
And this time it was more just
and the
different stories.
flashback. There's like all these flashbacks that are like some of them are relevant, but only minorly relevant.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's no, yeah, like you said, there's no central focus, and it's just kind of like things just to have things going on. I don't know. I just didn't get into it as much as the last two.
Yeah.
Are they running out of ideas? Is that what you?
Kind of, maybe, but I mean, there's plenty to explore in that
Universe?
domain. The domain of prison life, and what it's like from both perspectives, guards, inmates.
I think
stuff like that. But
this season they're starting to run into the same problem Lost kind of did in season 3, where they'd already explained the relevant backstories to most of the main characters, so they had to like start looking to other characters or just start repeating themes that they've already
Yeah.
done a lot.
Right.
So this year they have like flashbacks for all these characters that are really, really minor, but like kind of interesting on their own. But they didn't do a great job of working that into the storylines.
Yeah.
Like even within the episodes, like it'll be about totally different stuff. Then
Right.
you'll get like these little flashbacks.
So there's lots of filler. To me, it's just lots of filler and stuff that's, like you said, no central focus and stuff like that. As far as gaming goes, let's see. I've been playing Counter-Strike, Arkham Knight. I tried. I'm waiting for them to fix it on PC, but we'll talk about that.
Maybe waiting a
Wait a minute.
while.
Wait a minute. You ran into problems, Niff?
Just a little bit. I mean, it wasn't terrible. I didn't get the worst of it by any means. There were people out there that had it way worse than me, but I wasn't able to finish it. So hopefully someday. I want to try Breaking Point coming up here pretty soon. It's basically like DayZ. It's an Arma 3 mod.
I have it installed.
But DayZ kind of got a little grindy for me and a little like no end purpose. Like you get geared and then you go and try to find some PvP action. You might end up getting along with the people you find. You might end up trying to kill them. But then the second you die, it's like, oh, now I gotta like walk around for another 2 hours to get the gear back that I just had so that I can experience the fun part of the game. Well, Breaking Point kind of gives a purpose to it. There's classes, there's a good side and a bad side, and or the factions. So there's the good side and the bad side, and then each faction has 3 classes. So like the good, I think there's like a ranger, a scout, and something else. And then on the bad side, it's like hunters, bandits, and something else. And you have a leveling experience, and you get points for killing other certain types of classes or helping classes on your side. So it just gives it more of a purpose to the survival sandbox idea, which is great because that's what a lot of these games are lacking, is like an in-game purpose, or just through game purpose, as opposed to just open world exploration and just do whatever you want at all times.
I've heard it's still pretty hardcore.
Yeah,
like,
it is. It
like
definitely is. Anything Arma 3 is going to be very militaristic sim, very gritty. And all these mods, I'm sure there's glitches and just like everything else, but it seems people that I've seen stream it have been having a better experience as far as gameplay and whatnot than DayZ. So I'm interested to try it out. Seems like a lot of fun. So that's what I've been up to in a nutshell.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anybody playing any interesting games in chat? Watching any cool shows? Let us know. But in the meantime, I think we'll just go ahead and move on to Good, the Bad, the Kappa, our flagship segment. All right. So for the first article we have this week, in last week and a half, 10, 12 days or so, there's been a lot of hubbub about the Confederate flag and what it stands for and what it stands for everybody. Some people have different viewpoints, but Apple tried to take a stand after, I think it was after the ruling, right?
Yes, I believe so. And it's their store. They've been They've already controlled a lot up to this point. And like, if there's any good reason to remove something, that's a pretty good reason. But in this case, like, go ahead. It's not just the Confederate flag. It was a Civil War strategy game,
right? And that's the thing. To me, it's almost like, okay, I understand the ruling and how, moving away from the Confederate flag imagery. Yeah. But at the same time, a Civil War game that's using it for historical purposes, it's not the focus. It's not the focus of the game. It's
all about context, right?
Exactly. It's all about context. And also, there's something to be said about people's sensitivity level, too. Like, okay, we don't want to see the flag going down the street. We don't want to see the flag hanging at our state's capitol or whatever. But like, who's looking at these games thinking, "Oh, I'm so offended by this game having this flag"? And Apple,
I don't think anyone was. Apple, in that case, it was probably an overreaction.
Exactly.
Like them just going, all right, we need to set a straight rule, no Confederate flags, period. And they actually put it back up since this happened.
And was it just this game that they put back up? Because it says that the developer had several late-night phone calls with Apple to restore the game. So did they put up others, or was it just this one?
I don't know. I'm guessing that they're still gonna remove it when possible, but you know, if people bug them about it, then and they have a good reason, like it's a game about the Civil War, then
Yeah.
they'll probably put it back up.
Okay.
I mean, it's like World War II games and stuff. You're going to have Nazism, symbolism and stuff, and swastikas around. Like, there's no way around that without like sugarcoating stuff that was bad.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we need to remember those things.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. And to be honest, like, I don't know, the censorship too. You got to think about censorship in this case too. Like, so from now on, no developer may ever use these imageries, and you know, it's just like, I don't know. I think Apple was just a little reactionary, and just somebody mentioned it, and someone was like, "Oh, that sounds like a great idea," and then like after the fact, they're like, "Well, maybe that wasn't such a great idea." So
What I really like about this is as soon as they caught wind that this was banned, Steam decided to put this game on the front page.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like you've seen that a lot. Like companies kind of, again, reactionary to what another company does. Social media is just making it so much quicker. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I know.
So what would you guys label this as?
Well, I would say good on them that they realize that, you know, this is a little silly. Yeah, a little silly, and we should probably, you know, put this game back up, especially for the developers' sake. I mean, they spent time, energy, money on making this game, and they don't want to take it down. And should a game have to like be calling Apple and fighting for its right to be back up on their store? I don't know. So good on them that they put it back, but maybe not jump to such drastic measures. You know, maybe think things through a little bit before you go and do something like that.
Yeah, I'm going Kappa because
that's very relevant.
You know, it wasn't a good move. It was kind of a dumb thing, and like the fact that we had to go back and forth on a historical game and stuff that like there's no reason for it, but at least it's something that they eventually got around to, and I totally understand where they were coming from in removing it just by I don't know making it a blanket statement on the Confederate flag.
Right.
Totally Kappa for me as well, because I'm just like, this whole situation is just silly. What? Oh my gosh!
To happen.
And the best part about this article is down at the bottom. It says South Carolina continues to fly a Confederate battle flag on State House grounds. They've been talking about removing it in the legislative, which is just like, okay, you've been talking about it. Like, who are in? I want to listen to the people that are in there, like, avidly defending it, and just roll my eyes. And then today, I don't know when this article was. June 27th. June 27th. It said today a demonstrator climbed the flagpole and took it down herself.
Yeah,
that is awesome. Cool. That is awesome.
It's also it's even worse, and like I don't want to get too political on this, but when you consider that the flag wasn't actually at the State House until the Civil Rights Movement, and they put it up as like an anti-civil rights motion, so it's like maybe don't have that at State House.
Yeah, and it's still like. To us, like we can, like most people can see it. Most people can see why, and there are people on the other side that can see it plainly too, and they know what it's standing for. But then there's these people that are on that side that I genuinely believe have been taught in a certain way, and they don't actually see the negative content. They don't actually. They don't.
It's the symbol of the South and our own way of life, and those Yankees not coming. It's like
but they don't know the history of it.
A flag for slavery.
Exactly. And then so I feel bad for the ones that are on that side, but have not been really taught the right history about it. I don't know. So it's definitely a Kappa situation, but good on Apple for realizing their mistake.
Yep.
All right, so let me clear these, and we'll move on to Batman Arkham Knight.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, go ahead. Someone lead us off.
Yeah, so oh, hey, Ordo. We've already talked about Arkham Knight a little bit on our show, but so the PC port is a total mess. Everybody kind of like it's locked at 30 frames per second and can barely get that on like top of the line cards. The Batmobile segments slow down like crazy.
Yeah.
There are all sorts of bugs. When it launched, there are effects missing that are on the console versions, like
also when you would verify the cache, it would re-download the game.
Really?
So yeah.
Wow.
So
Wow, that's
so
bad.
when I was talking with Green Man Gaming about a refund before they actually made that an official policy,
Yeah.
they actually told me, they're like, hey, well, maybe reinstall it. I'm like, I'm gonna verify my cache, and I'm like, oh god, everybody says it deletes everything, and it didn't, and it was like a miracle.
Wow.
It was just like, all your files are great. I'm like, thanks, man.
Wow.
But
well, that was a well-known bug though that was out there.
And it's to the point where they took it off the Steam altogether. Took it off Steam. I imagine Green Man Gaming and G2A are not selling keys to it either.
Right.
So it's completely off the market. This is unprecedented? I mean, we haven't seen something like this.
Yeah.
Like
with a AAA title
such
like
a
this,
failure like this.
Never seen this happen.
Never
Never seen them pull it from stores.
Right. That right there tells you how bad it was and how much the company is scrambling to fix it or figure it out.
No.
But then it comes to light today. This was posted today at 11:50 this morning. That sources from Warner Brothers. It says game testers, I believe. They knew for months that the PC version was flawed. I will say that it's pretty rich for Warner Brothers to act like they had no idea the game was in such a horrible state, said one quality assurance tester who worked on the game for years. It's been like this for months, and all the problems we see now were the exact same, unchanged almost a year ago.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So that right there speaks volumes for what we were talking about last week, the state of gaming, and how they knew it. They knew. So even if you're trying to, and I think they already delayed this. This game was meant to come out in October 2014, and they delayed it once, or maybe twice, maybe even twice. So I can see from a monetary point of view, they're like, okay, we've delayed it once. We need to get this out there. We just need to get. But why put out a product that you know is broken? Why have to go back and redo it and say, oh, sorry, and then to apply? Yeah, go ahead.
Like, why? It's because money. If you look down, it's the bottom line for any company, and so they're like, before they even. So what really did the inform was the Steam refunds, because before that they're just like, oh, these suckers, they're gonna buy it no matter what. They're gonna be super fanboys of Batman and our previous titles. We're just gonna do, push it to them, and they're gonna do nothing about it. And so what do they
complain? It'll get to a 30% or whatever on Steam, but yeah. I agree. Like, the Steam refunds are really what changed everything for them. They were expecting everybody to get stuck with this game, and then and my guess is that they were giving retailers discounted copies of it or discounted instances.
Okay.
Because that's why you kept seeing sales
just
all
to
over
move
the place.
copies. Okay.
Warner Brothers knew it was going to be a flawed project, and they would get money off of those initial sales and then just stick with those. And
how long ago? When did they announce the Steam refund program?
It was not long ago.
It was like a week
within the month, right?
It came out. Yeah.
Within the month. So I wonder if people at Steam were getting wind of things like this, like, hey, Warner Brothers is going to drop this Batman game. It's going to be, the PC port is not ready. These kinds of things, and that they probably had Steam refunds in the works already, but I wonder if something like this
I think they did.
Yeah, I think they've had enough people complain about not being able to get refunds on broken games that they wanted to do it anyway. And there's this isn't the only time this has happened. Like, this happened.
Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat was a prime one, and then you look at
Assassin's Creed Unity, although that was kind of a mess on everything at launch, but
and then you have competitors like Origin, who've done refunds since day one, right?
Right.
So
at
to
least
be competitive
for a while, yeah.
So they pretty much had to implement it, the refund system. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. So Arkham Knight, then, how long do you think before we see it back on the PC available to purchase?
Well, they're still patching it for people who own it. So like they've already
it says a minor patch with rain effects. Yeah,
so now it at least looks sort of closer to what it looks like on PS4.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're gonna have to rebuild this thing pretty much from the ground up to get it running the way it should. Yeah. I think they just ported a code that didn't make sense for PC, or they were porting from the PC or PS4 source, and it just caused all sorts of problems. And instead of adapting to it, they just let it go.
Yeah, Mech says he'll think it'll be months before the PC sees it again. Yeah, Warner Brothers described the ongoing work as significant, and it'll take some time to ensure that we get the right fixes in place. That is very open-ended. We could see Batman PC maybe next year.
I do think they're probably gonna keep doing patches, and they'll try to get it into better shape. But until like they're basically done with it, they'll probably wait on putting it on the store, because then they can relaunch it and be like, "Here's the Batman game you've been waiting for, the PC version that's so much better than what you could have played on PS4." It'll just be like, 4 months later or something like that.
Right. Yeah. So this is bad. This is nothing good about this.
Yeah.
Across the board, bad.
As somebody who bought that game, it's bad. I'm still waiting on my refund. Green Man Gaming's supposed to be registered or doing it for me, but
I got it half off, so I'll just keep it if they're patching it, and maybe I'll try to play it when they say that it's good to play, and then I'll be like, no, it's not yet.
Yeah, Ariba got me the PS4 version because I was really bummed out and I wanted to play it. I didn't want to mess with all the PC crap.
Right, and they say that on consoles it's great. On consoles,
it is.
The frame rate is steady. The graphics are good. Everything's sound.
It's a really good game.
Yeah,
it's bad, at least from a PC standpoint.
Yeah,
it's just horrible.
So Mech asks, will people rebuy it?
That's a good question.
The people who already own it won't have to, because as soon as it comes out with the newer version, they'll just have it.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to make them buy the same game again. But the people who, I don't know, there's probably some people who don't have any consoles, wanted to play that game really bad, and once it goes back up and it's actually fixed, they'll probably pick it up.
And to be fair, there's a lot of people that pride themselves on not getting games as soon as they launch, just for these kinds of situations. And so there's a lot of people that waited to buy it, didn't buy it yet, and once they fix it and put it out on PC, I'm sure there'll be a whole nother wave of people rebuying it or buying it for the first time.
I wouldn't be surprised if the new store version will be some sort of Game of the Year edition or whatever they do.
And they added a new mission. They added a new mission never before seen.
There's already
skins.
There's already a $40 season pass for the game you can buy. So if they include some of that content, then. But
Lord.
I'm so sick of that stuff. $40 for content doesn't exist.
We're getting there. So moving on. We all agree that that's bad. Bad for gaming. Bad for Warner Brothers. Bad for PC gamers. It's not no good. Moving on. Destiny. Speaking of money grubbing and $40 expansions and skins and emotes, Destiny announces ill-timed Red Bull exclusive quest for the Taken King. You heard that right, folks. Red Bull exclusive quests. Quest 1.
An epic new quest.
So basically, you have to buy Red Bull, and on specially marked packages of Red Bull, there will be a code, and you can use this code for bonus XP and an exclusive mission in the upcoming expansion of Destiny. Weird.
So
have you guys ever seen the verification can meme that was from 4chan a long time ago?
No, I have not.
It's more of satire, but he's talking about when they announced the Xbox One, and with the Kinect that's always on, it's like you need to prove your identity by drinking a verified can of Mountain Dew to turn the screen on, and then like in order to confirm a purchase, you need to drink a can of Mountain Dew as like a signature. And I'm just like, hey, this is pretty close. Yeah. Or like if like the Xbox prompts you to say Mountain Dew's like catchphrase in order to sign up to Xbox Live.
Oh my God, what are we getting ourselves into? It makes me think of the movie with what is the movie where it's like in the future and everyone's like really stupid and they pour Gatorade on plants and.
Idiocracy.
Yeah, Idiocracy. That's like where some of this stuff is pointing towards. It's crazy.
Well, this is just the latest thing with Destiny.
Yeah.
Just really nickel and diming its customer base.
It is. I feel like there's both sides of it. I mean, because think about it. There's plenty of gamers that already drink Red Bull.
Yeah.
And they sign on to Destiny and they crack a Red Bull and they play for hours.
Reaper says it has electrolytes.
Yeah, right? Electrolytes are good for everything, right? Yeah, but so, it's good for them. Like, the people that are already playing Destiny and already choose to drink Red Bull, it's great. They get a little bit extra content. But should I have to buy Red Bull to see that extra content? That's where it's just like, ugh. I don't know.
They did say the extra content will come to everybody in January, regardless of whether they get a Red Bull to play it.
Okay.
I know they say epic new quest. They haven't said what that is. I'm sure
probably gonna be. Yeah, it's probably not gonna be anything.
It's probably gonna be like the bounty that they introduced a couple weeks ago, where like you kill like 20 guys on a turret and then the level's over. This is the kind of new content you usually get with Destiny.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a symptom of something I think they're going through, where they've had a pretty successful year with very little new content. So they're gonna keep doing these little things where they can like get more money out of people for things like XP boosts.
Right.
It's turning into or it's getting closer to the mobile market, where they realize that it takes forever to grind anything in Destiny.
Right.
So they want you buying all this extra crap just so that you can keep playing the game and leveling up. And that's how Taken King is. Like, as soon as Taken King comes out, there's no reason to play the game if you don't the Taken King. And
when I read bonus XP, I was like, oh, that's actually not bad, because some people, really get into leveling and they want their characters to be the best. And I thought of I immediately thought of WoW when in WoW, if you leave WoW or whatever for a while and people invite you back, you can get 24 hours of bonus XP, and I'm like, that bonus XP is enough to get you 5 levels, or if you're at the old level cap and you're trying to get to the new expansion cap, like, it can put a huge dent in it. But then I read this article, and one can gives you a code for 30 minutes.
Hey, the boss.
30 minutes of extra XP.
Yeah,
one can, 30 minutes. So I'm just like, that's almost nothing. Like, how much XP can you grind out in 30 minutes compared to 24 hours? So it's just like, wow, that really is nickel and diming for some extra XP. And then, even further, Destiny people were pissed off because of the interview with the designer, where he kind
Luke
of was...
Smith,
where he was just... It says here, he was very... he was almost proud of the fact that people... I haven't watched the interview, but...
It's just a written interview.
Okay.
They ask him, they're like, well, what about the people who want this content? Because some of the exclusive digital content is stuff that doesn't really matter much, but would be nice for the people who had it. And he's like, oh, well, these new emotes, you'll want to buy the game again for it.
Yeah, they're totally worth it.
Totally.
Yeah, well, he was joking around, like, oh, once you see these things, you'll totally want it. But like, it was still joking about something that people were kind of mad about.
Yeah,
like,
you can't take light of your fans,
he was poking at the hornet's nest. That's the problem.
Yeah. So I've been following all this stuff because I own Destiny. I own all the expansions and stuff. Right now, I'm not planning on getting Taken King because I don't know if it's
$80.
Well, you can get Taken King by itself for $40.
Okay.
But if it's Taken King by itself for $40. It's Taken King with Destiny and both the earlier expansions for $60, or it's all of that edition plus the collector's edition, which I can find here, which has a bunch of extra stuff.
We have a lot of games, boss. We all play different kinds of games, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So here's the thing. They pissed all these people off about not including this stuff and then mocking them. They're like, then they said, guys, we hear you. It's okay. We're going to release all this stuff for you because you've spoken out about it, and it'll be $20. And the things they're offering for the digital, the $20 package that you'd get on top of the Taken King, is it's 3 exotic Guardian class items with XP bonuses.
All right.
Which is, making people pay to level up faster, which was a problem in the game that you don't level up enough. And then 3 emotes, so basically 3 new dances that you can perform in front of people. 3 shaders, which aren't even new. Wow. It's not new armor. Those are new colors to apply to the armor you have.
Oh, my Lord.
That's $20.
Oh,
and
my Lord.
The justification being for that, well, the collector's edition is $20 on top of what you would pay for the collection of all the games. So that content. But the collector's edition also comes with, let's see, reading it here, a steelbook case, or it has an Intel cache, modified Treasure Island book with an intro letter, personal notes and illustrations, collection of artifacts and relics, a strange coin replica, weapon schematic, and you get 3 new weapons in game that you don't get otherwise. Okay. So there's all sorts of content that you're actually getting for the $20 on top if you buy the $80 collector's edition.
Wow.
So charging $20 for that last bullet point of these crappy little things nobody wants
is insane.
It's absolutely crazy.
It's insane. So, and then he has the audacity. He's quoted here as saying it's about value. The player's assessment of the value of the content.
Yeah.
Bull crap. What if I value it at $2? You're not going to let me pay $2 for this content. You're going to charge me $20 or $80. Like, no way it's the player's assessment of the value. It's what you, as a company, think you could get away with as a value.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, Destiny has given people so little over the last year.
Yeah.
And that, like, people will do it. People replay the same, like, 15 to 20 missions for hundreds of hours just to level up their guy. Like, each expansion is 2 new levels. You can level up 2 more times by upgrading new gear.
Wow.
And it takes forever to even do that. And it's just, that's why I think I'm done. I'm like, I'm not going to pay $40 for what's going to be like a quarter of the original game, and just so I can keep playing.
I just think that people at Bungie have a really bad coke habit that they need to fuel. And so
I think
they owe a bookie somewhere a lot of money.
They're the ones doing this, man.
I think they just get really high and they code just a little like expansion or skin, and then they try to sell it for a lot of money.
Yeah.
So they can buy more cocaine.
Yep. That's what's going on over there. I don't know. And this thing with Red Bull, like, do you think this is a trend we're gonna see more with other games?
Yeah.
Like more, I feel like the product placement and product market partnerships between game developers, studios, all of that.
We already see this in a lot of stuff. Like last year, I think I mentioned last week with Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed and getting bonus costumes from shaving cream and stuff. Like, there's already all sorts of weird, ridiculous stuff that
I think it's going to be more apparent though in more games.
Yeah, and from one side of the coin, it seems like it's a new annoyance, but at the other side, it's like, you know, if these companies are trying to partner with these games, that means the rest of the world, like the rest of the market, is seeing how important video games are. So it could be a good thing in a way, in a sense, in somehow these partnerships. I'm not sure that I see the value or the benefit yet, other than the studios making money and people, Red Bull selling a couple more packets of Red Bull.
I do think Activision is worse than most with this stuff. And they do Call of Duty also. Keep in mind, Bobby Kotick still works for them. He's this guy who's infamous for all these. Like, I'm looking at his page right now, and there's a whole section that's just controversy. Really? And like, they basically have shut him up so he won't talk. Because he says stuff like this. He advocates a business strategy focused on only developing intellectual property, which can be, in his words, exploited over a long period of time to the exclusion of new titles.
He actually used the word exploited.
He used the word exploited to talk about their franchises. He says they have the potential to, this is again in quotes, have the potential to be exploited every year on every platform with clear sequel potential and have the potential to become $100 million franchises, which has worked very well for Activision Blizzard. He's described his business strategy as narrow and deep or annualizable, which is exactly what he did with Call of Duty.
Narrow and deep.
And has is cited as key to attracting development talent who may not be drawn to, quote, speculative franchises. So he's like totally against originality. Let's see.
He wants to recreate games that are proven sales.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was the one who pushed several Guitar Hero games every year and like killed that whole genre.
See, that's...
he said he was challenged over his comfort level with high prices, and he says new games, or he wanted to have even more expensive controllers to sell that. He said if it was left to me, I would raise prices even further. These are always like, so this is the guy in charge of Activision.
Yeah,
this is very much their thing.
And I go back to gaming getting bigger. You know, it's good and bad because when it gets bigger like this, you're gonna see people like that are just money driven, and then just we can pump out 3 of these titles and make a ton of money. And the littler guy that's saying, hey, I have this really great story in mind, this really great artist for this really great game, but we can't get it hyped because it doesn't sell copies right now because no one's heard of it.
Yeah.
So it's
at least like you'll see occasionally with like EA where they've got like Unravel or something.
Yeah.
Like they have these indie developers, even though they're working for an enormous publisher, so they're not really indie, but.
Or Grow Home. Have you guys heard of that?
Grow Home?
Look into it. It's an amazing game made by Ubisoft, and you wouldn't have figured it, but it was made by like 5 guys.
Yeah.
And it's simplistic, and it's one of those games that just kind of makes you happy and relax.
What's it called?
Grow Home.
Grow Home. Okay, I'll check it out. But real quick, let's finish up this article. As a response to this kind of ridiculousness, Dying Light tweeted out a picture and put up a picture of a glass of water. Level up your game with the real King of Hydration, featuring a glass of water, many times consumable. Ever stop to wonder how extremely awesome water is? It's natural, vegan, and super free. It's also delicious and great for your health, and even better, it's basically free. So, if you post a picture, if you have Dying Light, I know it was pretty big when it first came out, but it's kind of lost momentum. But if you post a picture of you drinking a glass of water with the tag "Drink Right Dying Light" and get your code for a premium weapon docket. So they're giving some content away just for drinking water for free, basically. So kudos to them. I mean, that's kind of cool. And it's, again, we're seeing that reactionary social media back and forth between companies.
I think there was another game, I forget what it was, that did the same, where they released 3 new emotes to every person for free.
Yeah.
Just because they're like, it's nothing.
Right. To make an emote probably takes a guy like, I don't know, an hour.
It's not even one employee's whole day.
Right. Exactly. It's like ridiculous. So
hence my Coke habit theory. Okay.
Right? Exactly. All right. This is up and down Kappa for me. It's just money grubbing. It's just ridiculous. It's silly. It's we're gonna see more of it, unfortunately, because, like I said, the industry's getting bigger and other brands want to capitalize on nerds that play video games.
I'm going straight bad, also just because of the whole idea of paying for experience and leveling up in games. I hate that idea.
The trend is no good.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad in mobile gaming. It's bad in core gaming. Just bad altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say bad too. When you have to charge for leveling up, that means that your inherent system within your game is broken.
Mm-hmm. Or they built it so that they could charge to level up faster.
From a
that's
consumer
all mobile
games
games are.
Broken.
That's literally all mobile games are. Timers and unlock this quicker than that guy.
We gotta take a stand and make sure that we don't allow this to bleed into AAA titles. But if we were gonna keep buying things, blindlessly without reading reviews, then it's just gonna happen.
I've seen so much defense of Taken King and all this content too from like the hardcore Destiny fan base, where they're like, well, you don't have to buy the emotes, but I'd like to buy them, and for me it's worth $20. But it's like,
I'm not gonna bring it up. I'm not gonna bring it up, but this link right here, this Eric Kane guy, he has a whole nother article saying about how this kind of marketing is a great idea, and it's only going to benefit, like I said, it benefits the people that already play the game and drink Red Bull. Like, he's all for it. So,
yeah.
I mean, some people are out there championing it, but they probably are also profiting off it somehow. Who knows? But what I was gonna say, one more thing about, maybe I wasn't. I don't know. I'd be interested to see. I'd be interested to know how many codes have been redeemed off of these Red Bulls so far. If it's already
they haven't started it yet.
They have not.
It's gonna be for the Taken King, which comes out in September.
Gotcha.
So
all right.
Nobody knows what this is really, other than the bonus and some content.
Okay. So yeah, that's it for Good, the Bad, the Kappa. I don't know. You guys have any other things you want to talk about before we go into verses?
I think we're probably good.
Yeah, man, we're good. Let's do it to it.
All right.
Fight.
Fight. All right, here is our versus segment where Ross and Draper, for the time being, are going to square off and kind of debate back and forth, and they're going to debate PlayStation and Microsoft right now, and the state of the two companies and where they see them going, and who is the better console/gaming company at the moment.
Figured we'd go right ahead and let people call us biased on stuff.
Yeah,
it's like, we're not really that biased before we start arguing on this. You don't have either platform, and I have both of these.
Yeah.
So, we got enough.
And I've owned the original PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation Vita, the original Xbox 360,
So go, let's have you start. You had a kind of an argument on how Microsoft's been doing.
I'll start it off like this. Let's start before you get into that. Let's start off with their E3 shows. That'll be a good place to start, and then we can kind of go from there. We'll start with Draper. You watched? Did you get a chance to catch the Microsoft E3 conference?
All
right, scratch that idea. Well, ignore me altogether. We'll just go with what you were gonna say.
Yeah. Go ahead, Draper.
So I was more going along the history of the Xbone. as if I may so call it.
You may.
So Microsoft, I'm not gonna lie, it was a horrible launch, probably one of the worst launches in a while, and for consoles. But I what what's been happening though is that Microsoft has been showing interest in the consumer, right? They've even before a lot of sales came out, they went back and they changed some of their policies, and that's a sign of a good company. They didn't wait for them to react to the losing money, right? Um, and kind of like with Warner Brothers, they reacted, as we mentioned, they reacted by after having so many refunds, right? So if you have Microsoft who's able to change even before they started losing a whole bunch of sales, I'm sure there were some a little bit, but they could see that all the negative press that they were getting, and so they backtracked on a lot of things. And now look at where they are now. You can get right now on the Microsoft Store and Xbox One without the Kinect, which was a huge thing that everyone complained about, for $350. So it's $50 cheaper. So that was another complaint, right? That they were the same price, and even though the Xbox One was technically inferior or whatever. So they addressed that along with the Master Chief Collection, which, you can talk about how the state of that game is, but it's still free game. Plus Assassin's Creed Unity, which more or less has been fixed, plus another game for $350. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah. So, as we've seen Microsoft go through this launch, they know how valuable it is to be have a start on the good foot, right? Mm-hmm. That's what the Xbox 360 did compared to the PlayStation 3, because it was $600. The PlayStation 3 was super expensive, super bulky.
Yeah.
And so and now they're announcing backwards compatibility. Is it going to be perfect? No, but at least they're trying it. It's something that you can see them put an effort towards the consumer, and that's something that I really like.
And what else? You said the Kinect was one of the main things that they kind of went back on and said, okay, you don't have to have a Kinect.
Yeah.
What were some of the other things that they came out with launch that people didn't like and they had to remove?
So one of the biggest things was the always on DRM. So the Xbox One would ping their servers to make sure that you're connected, and so then you could actually play multiplayer. And then borrowing games as well was another thing that they backtracked on, where your game would be locked to your Xbox One. And these were horrible implementations. I can see where they kind of went with it. They tried to mimic things after maybe how things are done on the PC realm, but it doesn't necessarily transfer well. And they saw that, and they saw that, and that's why they backtracked. They once they found, I don't know who leaked it, but how many gigs of RAM were dedicated, like 4 gigs of RAM were dedicated to the Kinect alone for always listening and interpreting your voice, right? Yeah. And so they turned that off, and so technically, developers have more resources to work with, right? So that was another one. Those are the only ones I can think of.
Yeah,
but
and you think they reacted quickly enough to some of these things, or do you think it took?
And so they did take a hit. I mean, publicity is something. It's so PR fickle. Is such a hard. Yeah, it's very fickle. It's so hard to do a 180. And so, but I think they caught it early enough. And on top of that, I know Microsoft is a huge company, but you're looking at the other stuff that they're doing too, right? Yeah. So you're going to be able to stream your games to any Windows 10 PC, which is pretty cool. Or no, the other way around. You're able to stream your PC games to your Xbox One, which is really cool. So they're trying to integrate it into all the platforms that they offer, right? And so I just don't see Sony offering anything very similar, right? I mean,
it depends how you look at it, because
Ross, why don't you start with PlayStation's launch compared to Xbox?
Their launch,
because the PlayStation 4.
I was gonna say, if we're giving someone a gold star for most improved, Microsoft is the most improved since start. But I feel like they've been chasing the same policies that Sony's implemented from the beginning and worked for them. Rather, they're trying to change themselves to be as close to Sony so that they can continue to be successful. In terms of launch, Sony had an incredibly successful launch, way better than the PS3. Last generation, where they came out with a ridiculous price point. They had this arrogant attitude, like, well, people will just buy it because it's a PlayStation.
Right.
This time around, they had a lot of people come to them with what they wanted in a new system, and Andrew House, who's the lead engineer on the PS4, went to a lot of different developers and asked them specifically what they want in a next-gen console, and they built it around those specifications. So it's an incredibly snappy machine. Like, it's powerful. It runs entirely on DDR5 RAM, so like it's really snappy, just really, really quick to do everything. And in terms of policy, again, like Microsoft's still chasing a lot of that. They changed all their things early on with how they were going to handle DRM, how they were going to handle game libraries, how they were going to handle always on and the Kinect being optional and stuff. They were doing what Sony did and just trying to be successful off that. And they've been pushing even on things like game streaming, where Microsoft is now talking about doing Windows 10 to Xbox streaming, which is great. Like, that's good for them. But like Sony has been doing that since PS4 launched with the Vita, and they're pushing it with the PlayStation TV. Like, they do want a streaming presence. They just don't have an operating system that everybody has in their own house to leverage.
So right now, in the past, it's been Microsoft kind of, but right now I would say PlayStation's kind of leading the, not innovation, nothing's very innovative, but sort of out in the front, and Microsoft is reacting to, as you say, match what they've put out. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and Microsoft, like, I'll give it to their credit that they've got some decent games coming out, but
Xbox fanboy in the chat.
Xbox rules. But like Sony has a great library in the next few years. Like, just looking at what they had to show at their E3, there are all sorts of surprises with Last Guardian actually coming out finally, and Uncharted 4 looks incredible. Like, they've still got Naughty Dog as a first party.
Apparently, I don't know if Draper had this in mind, but apparently Xbox is holding back some games for Gamescom, and they tweeted out something about the greatest Xbox lineup in history was the tagline.
That's what they said 3 too, though. Like, that's what they've been pushing.
Right.
They're gonna show more Quantum Break and oh God, what's the one that I forget the one that's coming out, like kind of an action.
Horizon, maybe.
Not Horizon. That's PlayStation.
Oh, is that PlayStation? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm getting mixed up. I'll let you guys argue it.
No.
So another thing I want to say is that I think they are innovating, and for one example is the Xbox Elite controller that we mentioned last week, right? So I don't see Sony coming out with a super premium, cool little gizmo controller that, and they're talking about removing the light, which is kind of cool, I guess. I don't know, but I like the fact that they're trying to cater to all kind of demographics, including the hardcore. So that's one thing that another complaint is like, oh, it's too general it's not for the hardcore gamers, and so even then, they backtracked not only in the sense of the hardware and the Kinect and stuff, which kind of seemed as gimmicky and cheesy. They even went to the hardware, and I don't think this is necessarily a response to the criticism of catering to casuals. They're actually trying to make a vested interest in the hardcore gamer market. I know that's kind of a small thing, but I think that makes it's little details like that helps you nab a niche market.
Yeah, and I feel like that controller is even it's not even just hardcore. That's an incredibly niche market.
Yeah,
that's a $150 controller.
Right.
For people to be able to switch out analog sticks and stuff. Like, I understand there are people who are really into that. I'm not really one of them, so it doesn't make a difference for me.
It's the same thing with Sony charging $15 to rent a game for however long to stream or whatever.
No, $15 is their subscription cost, or you can buy a game usually for that much. But
okay, so now we're kind of drifting over to their online presence. So let's talk about that. The community, their online services. You've got Xbox Live Gold, right? And then you've got PlayStation Plus. But then you also have PlayStation Now. Does Microsoft have anything that kind of mimics that?
They have EA's deal, but even that's not streaming. That's and still you have to pay separately for that. Right. It's a whole subscription service on top of Xbox Live. Yeah. I'll go ahead and say I'm not that sold on PS Now, just because I feel like for the subscription, like, you should be able to play the games you already own backwards compatible and connect to the system to do that. I think that Sony, though, that the PlayStation Network has finally reached, or at least with PS4, reached the level where online gaming and community is at least as good as it is on Xbox. And the PlayStation Plus service is so much better than what Gold is offering.
Really?
You get so many more games. If you own other PlayStation platforms, you get new games for those every month. If you get a free game on one platform and it exists on another, you automatically own it on all the platforms through the cross-buy platform. If you have it on multiple systems, you can use cross-save on everything. So like if I'm playing on my PS4 and then I want to access something on my PS3 later, it'll pull my save game from the same server.
So there's more free games available for PlayStation. What's Xbox Live got going for it, Draper?
So one thing you take for granted is that the system just works and it's up. I mean, we've seen time and time again where Sony they've been affected by it. And so what happened when Lizard Squad launched an attack to both Steam, Xbox Live, and PlayStation, the PlayStation Network. PlayStation Network was out the longest. Xbox did suffer some stuttering by like a couple days, but they were up pretty fast.
Okay. So what is that? Stability.
Yeah, stability. And so, yeah, games are nice, but if you don't have access to it, I remember I had a PlayStation 3 when the PlayStation Network was down for 23 days. Wow. That is unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's happened again. And you see time and time again, Sony's have these really bad security policies, right? And so and some of it's been in the company, but it has bled over into PlayStation specifically, right?
I think it's gotten a lot better, but you're right. Like those were major issues.
Says PS4 is still having issues from time to time.
I own one and it works extremely well for me. But like I don't have that problem personally.
Yeah.
But I have a lot more problems with my Xbox and updating games and stuff than I do on my PS4. But
I've always been an Xbox. I mean, I had a PlayStation 2, and then ever since 360, I've had Xbox, and I've always held true that Xbox Live is just a better community, and there's just more players, but now I don't think it's the case anymore. I think it's kind of balancing out a little bit. I think Microsoft still has a larger base.
It took Sony at least a whole console generation to start to really get to the level, because like PS3 versus Xbox 360, absolutely, Xbox 360 blows PS3 out of the water with all that. Like it's not even close. But I feel like the platforms have kind of swapped this generation, where PS4 has finally caught up with all that, and they've also just become like kind of the lead platform for a lot of developers.
Yeah.
Like it's a slightly more powerful system seems to be a little easier to develop and port for, even though they're both x86 infrastructure and shouldn't be that hard. But like games have been better on PS4 versus Xbox One so far.
Games have been better. What about like I say, the online community and matchmaking, finding games, the number of players playing these games? Is it the same? You see a lot of people?
I mean, it depends on the game, but I don't think there's any difference from platform to platform on that. Like Call of Duty for me, or Advanced Warfare, is like instantaneous. I hit the button and I'm in a game.
Gotcha.
Halo Master Chief Collection is like even now like 5 minutes maybe. But that's not Microsoft's fault. Well, I mean, it is Microsoft's fault, but it's not their infrastructure that's fault. It's the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another thing. I just feel like Microsoft's really trying to push games out as quickly as they can, but they haven't really gotten that much out yet that's been good. Or like Sunset Overdrive was pretty fun. I enjoyed that. Halo Master Chief Collection was a disaster. It has me really worried about Guardians this year. Like, and I love the old
Someone
Halo.
mentioned Guardians in the chat.
Yeah, I saw Mech did, and like I really hope Guardians is good, because I really do like the classic Halo games a lot. I wasn't really sold on the E3 footage that much. Like there hasn't. Sony's
E3 conference blew Microsoft out of the water. Microsoft did okay.
They showed that there's a reason to own an Xbox One right now. And the fact that they're considering backwards compatibility. Yeah, I know I'm arguing on behalf of Sony.
Yeah, you're kind of going both ways, Ross.
But I think
we'll just capture your face twice, and you'll just argue with yourself.
At myself.
Yeah.
But I still feel that even with all of Microsoft's improvements, Sony has a better outlook for the future right now, and they've had a better plan from the start of this generation.
Right. So real quick. Go ahead, Draper, if you had something.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I think that they have the resources Microsoft to turn things around, and I'm very optimistic with the future. I think that from what we've seen, the amount of change that they've done will only continue and go on. And at this point, I think they will start to. They're at the point where they're equal, and they'll start to innovate even more than Sony, because right now they have a lot to prove. I mean, they've got to prove that they're better because they started off worse. So I think they're going to continue. They have that drive, whereas Sony they might try to ride on the laurels or ride on the hype train that they had, right?
Yeah, I could see that.
That's just me.
I could see that. They do have a pretty good lineup, and like, so as gamers, we kind of focus on the short term. So I don't know if you have any names in your head, but real quick, if you guys can talk about a couple games maybe coming out shortly for each console. Game releases in the next like 6 months, year or so.
So PS4, like honestly, it's mostly the multi-platform stuff I'm going to be getting on there right now.
Yeah.
Next year is going to be fantastic for them. With Uncharted 4, Last Guardian, like those 2 titles alone are like most anticipated games.
Yeah.
But in terms of this year, I would agree. Like Microsoft's got a better lineup, but even then, it mostly comes down to Tomb Raider and Halo Guardians, hopefully being good, and and Tomb Raider's PC also. So like I could just play it on there.
But PC is Microsoft's second console, right?
or is
Xbox Microsoft's second console?
Yeah, they want Windows to be successful, but they're pretty hands off there.
So like I said, we look at the short term as consumers and gamers, but the companies are looking at the long term, probably 5 years, 10 years. What are they bringing to the table? VR, AR, other peripherals we may not know about. What do you guys see as the future? We'll start with Draper over here, since Ross is talking too much.
Freaking HoloLens, man! That thing is amazing.
Looks really cool.
And it's gonna you guarantee you they're gonna somehow interact or integrate it with Xbox One. I think that's what they're doing already, but you know, I wish I could bring up the source, but I remember there's a YouTube channel that I follow that's strictly like PC gaming, and they actually went to E3, and they kind of dreaded it because they're not console people.
Right.
But one person tried the Morpheus, and they said it was pretty locked down as far as frame rates. There was some stuttering issues, like it just didn't power. But I don't know how Microsoft is going to handle the HoloLens, but I've heard nothing but amazing things about it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like it looks too good to be true, but the reviewers are saying it's not.
And everybody that I've seen tweet about actually wearing it and having hands-on experiences with it are just like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree that the HoloLens is really cool. I don't think it's going to have a lot of gaming application. Yeah. Especially while gaming is still primarily a televised thing or something you play on a monitor. Like if you can have AR, but it has to be coming from that source, or you have to have some other stuff in your room that's activated with it. I don't think that's going to happen anytime.
I see it being good for like I think they showed it for Minecraft at the conference, and maybe also like puzzle games or something like that. You know, very.
I think it's a really, really neat piece of tech. I just don't know what they'd use. Mech mentions, I think VR is going to be gimmicky. All I can think of is Power Glove or Super Scope. I think VR has a lot of potential. I don't think Morpheus is going to really break the ground in VR. Because, I mean, you know, I know I just said that the PS4 is a powerful console, and, like, I think it is, but in terms of the power it needs to render 2 different, 120 hertz or so images at the same time that are decent enough resolution to make it, feel somewhat real, it's just not realistic. Like high-end PCs will be able to do it, and I think there's going to be a very niche market on PC where they're into Oculus, but I don't think any of the VR stuff's going to take off for a while. Yeah, that's my guess.
Right. So what else do we see in the long term for these companies? I mean, what about this generation? How long do you think this generation consoles last?
I'm gonna say we'll see a new console from each of them in probably about 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think originally they wanted to make it last 6 years, but the way technology advances, that's impossible.
Well,
I mean,
I think well, I guess they didn't say this time. Last time they said it would be like a 10-year lifespan, right? But
yeah,
this time they're maybe not.
Right. And we don't want it to be. As gamers, we wouldn't want to. I mean, I already want them to be upgraded. Like they're not anywhere near quality-wise a PC can put out.
I think that is part of the problem, is that when the 360 and PS3 came out, they were at least like pretty high end versus a lot of the computer hardware out there at the time.
Yeah.
Or like they were different enough that you could at least get like certain power out of them that you weren't in most PC gaming.
Gotcha.
Right now though, like both of these launched kind of underpowered versus the modern, like that year's graphics cards. So you're still getting games that are much better optimized to the platform you're playing, which can make a big difference. But in a few years, the consoles are still going to feel kind of underpowered.
Yeah. So yeah, real quick to wrap up Versus, what are the reasons? I feel like we're seeing less exclusives. Like there might be a timed exclusive, but eventually it's coming to both consoles. You know, you're seeing, you know, they've got online communities. The offerings are getting very, very similar. So what is there left to really cling on to? Like, I want to get a PlayStation versus an Xbox, or I want to get an Xbox versus a PlayStation, or maybe I get both. What is the reasons to own both?
I think at least with Microsoft, if you look at how big the company is and how much they offer for everything else, I mean, they have their hands in everything, and whether it's Windows Phone or tablets with the Surface or even the operating system, they're going to find a way to integrate it so that's a seamless and smoothless experience for wherever you go. And so I feel like Sony, like you said, Ross, that's something that they're doing, but Microsoft has a huge foothold and a huge advantage that Microsoft, I can see them exploiting.
Yeah, that's how you said everything connected. That would be so cool if I could say, you know, I take my Xbox One controller with me to a friend's house, or, you know, I bring my laptop and my Xbox controller and I go on vacation. That'd be so cool if I could just turn on my controller, you know, it connects with my laptop, or if I need a USB cable, that's fine. Connects with my laptop, and then my console from wherever my console is, or my library of games gets streamed to this machine. That would be sweet. Instead of I know you can stream it in the same house as what they're shooting.
No, you can go online with the Vita. I've streamed my PS4 in California at my parents' house in Kansas.
Really?
Yeah,
that's
and
awesome.
I
didn't know that was available.
Yeah, you can still do that. You can even do that with.
So how does it work? How you just take your controller with you and?
No, not a controller. It's my Vita. So like I had my Vita with me, and I had to do the PS4 link. But yeah, it pulls it up through Wi-Fi, and I can play my game. Same goes with the NVIDIA Shield these days, where like I know that's not really either of them, but you can do that now. You can go to someone else's Wi-Fi connection and play a game remotely.
Hey, Mex from Kansas. We're all from Kansas, dude. We grew up in Kansas, man.
Yeah.
Johnson County represent.
Johnson County. That's crazy. Small world, man. Small world.
But yeah, like you can do this stuff now. It's a possibility, and I think it's just going to keep expanding. I think it's great what Microsoft's doing with Windows 10 and Xbox One. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, that would be cool. That kind of stuff. Just like you said, interconnectivity. All your devices can play all your games. That would be sweet. And then you don't have to buy 3 consoles. You only have to buy one thing. Maybe they don't want the companies don't want that. The companies want you to buy both for some reason.
And that's what it really comes down to me.
Money.
Where it's like money. I think PS4 has better exclusives coming up in the next few years than Microsoft shown off. Microsoft has a number of them, but I'm more excited about the stuff.
The Sony conference convinced me to buy a PlayStation, so they're doing their job, I guess.
But I do think things are going more and more third party, less exclusivity, because games are so expensive to develop now that they need to recoup their costs on every platform. But they still want that exclusive money, so they do all these timed exclusives or content exclusives and stuff. When I'd much rather.
So the moral of the story is buy all the gaming consoles that you can afford, and spend every last dime on all the new releases. Pre-order everything, get all the gimmicks, get all the skins, do it all, pay all the monies.
Don't pre-order.
Don't pre-order. Don't pre-order.
No.
All right, so I wouldn't really call it a winner. I would say they're both great companies. They're both doing good things and bad things. We've seen Microsoft in the past be the kind of front runner. We've seen PlayStation this year kind of outsail and outpace them. It's a good back and forth. It's a healthy back and forth, I think. Hopefully it leads to good things in the future.
Yeah, Mech says, except the Wii U. And, you know, I'll go to bat for the past of the Wii U. They have all sorts of great games on that system now, like Mario Kart and Smash Brothers and Mario 3D World. But man, that conference was bad. And
yeah, their conference was awful.
It was awful.
Except for the puppets. The puppets were kind of neat, but that's silly.
but what they had on display.
Yeah, it was just bad. I bought into the Wii when it first came out. Me and my brother got a Wii, and I really wanted Nintendo to just do some cool stuff, and I don't know. I fell out of love with the Wii, and I fell out of love with Nintendo, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Wii U's got like the best library in a really, really long time, or at least for Nintendo consoles. Yeah, but yeah, man, I'm not feeling good about their future.
All right.
The problem is that it's designed to be a second console, and a lot of people don't have money for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think they said NX they're announcing in like 2 years or something.
Yeah, 2017 they said they're going to announce it, which is crazy. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up, guys. I need to get on. Hey, Haunt Machine says this is a pretty cool stream. Been streaming a while? No, this is our second show. This is technically our third show. Our first one we didn't record it because we're idiots. But no, we've only been streaming. I have a solo channel. Ross also has a solo channel that streams on occasionally. We're pretty new to streaming scene. We also wanted to put out a gaming talk show because we all like games, we all like talking, and we all like meeting new people. So, hey, Haunt Machine, thank you so much for that follow, man.
Yeah, I really do.
We are actually closing up shop for the night, but we are back here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Actually, somebody told me that you're not supposed to say Central Standard Time during daylight savings time. I saw a tweet about it. It's like someone was like
very daylight time.
Right, like since it's daylight savings right now is not CST, it's
CST, and
Haunt Machine wants links to your guys' streams.
All right, link them up. Here we go.
Hold on, I'll
look them up.
No, yeah, I'll link mine here. I'm Kniff. There's Ross.
I'm Ross. I also have a website I'll put my link to where I do like game, movie, TV criticism stuff if you're interested in
so definitely check us out. Also right there on the screen we've got our Twitter and our Facebook and our email. We also have a YouTube, which I don't have the link for. Does anybody have the link for our YouTube real quick?
Our YouTube, hold on a second.
For this one.
Grab it.
Yeah, Draper is Zorak in the chat, and he doesn't stream outside of this, but he will. We'll convince him to eventually.
I will.
When he finds the time. When he finds the time. But yeah, we were closing up for tonight, guys. We're unknown hosts, 3 random guys you don't know talk about video games. Every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central, we're trying to come up with more segments and more things, more content. So hopefully just look for more things for us, guys.
Hey, thank you, Haunt. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a great night. Bye-bye.